The riots was obviously a huge social issue and social problem, and I'm convinced, looking at social policy in a wide variety of areas, that you can't go far away from looking at the family implications of social policy, and so there's always a family implication. Was it the only reason for the riots? Family breakdown? No. But in terms of family breakdown, where you look at the issue where there aren't, say, strong families necessarily around, and in that the implications of that means that there are the breakdowns of order in different ways. For example, a healthy, respectful relationship between adults and young people, particularly the relationship, but not exclusively, but the relationship between a father and a son and indeed a daughter. That relationship, if that isn't strong, then that does show implications in how people act outside of a home environment, and that, I think, was a key factor in people's respect, which goes beyond just simply issues of wealth and opportunity, but goes into a very cultural issue about how people respect each other. There was people local who were willing to trash their local area. People, obviously, there were people who came in from different parts of of London, and indeed, all over the place to Enfield, for example. They sort of joined in, but you have to ask the question why people were willing to do that. At the same time, there was people in the community that reacted to that. There's a whole lot of people that said, "Come on, we've got to get out on the streets and show that this is our area, that we care about Enfield." So there is, for some in our there is a breakdown. They don't mind, they don't mind disrupting and disturbing the community, even if it's very much on their doorstep. And that's so there is that problem, yeah. For some, there's that was a frustration. I don't think that was obviously an excuse, or indeed a predominant cause. I think the issue of these riots was that they weren't ones that were similar to riots from history, which historically came out of unrest through poverty or through a particular protest. There were elements at various times in the riots where there was obviously elements of protest, and no doubt there were those who were involved in the riots who were wanting to protest against authority and were raging against the machine. And there were also those who were lacking opportunities, but I don't see that necessarily just in terms of simply their material opportunity. You have to realise that it wasn't solely about material opportunity, but the frustrations and what people have or don't have, and that obviously becomes more acute in a time of austerity and recession. And in somewhere like London and Enfield, where there are very close proximity, people who have and don't have, then the issue of gaining things and gaining property becomes particularly evident. Yeah, there is. There is potential, because there is. The fact is, there's people who have become engaged, and there's examples and projects of people who, themselves have been disengaged to the point of they may well have committed an offence and they've been involved in the criminal justice system or at the start of the criminal justice system, who have been diverted into recognising their responsibilities for those people around them, and have got connected, and there's another. There's rather than themselves, there's another involved. I've seen that in the area of the work of addictions, of people realising it's not about their own habit that they're feeding, but there's others around them that they are connected to, and getting that connection is really important, and that is very possible. I think we've got to go a lot earlier to do that as well. And so in Enfield, one of the things I've really welcomed is that we are supporting mentoring projects such as Chance UK. They're involved in the 5 to 11-year-olds, people who, even at that stage, you can identify are getting disengaged and their relationships are poor between adults and young people. Help setting boundaries, help raising aspirations beyond survival for themselves, and realising their aspirations are not just about for themselves, but for for those nearest to them and their neighbours in the community. So that can happen at an early stage, and there's good work around that we need to encourage.